Let's see. So I just wanted to take 15 minutes or so and give what we're calling a sort of a Hackathon 101. Actually, there was an event this summer that we had Hackathon 101, so this is sort of a Hackathon 102. Just kind of a brief overview of what this event is going to be like, what to expect, so everybody's on the same page going in. As everybody knows, the world is increasingly connected and digital, and it's affecting all aspects of our lives, whether we're, shopping online or meeting across the world through Skype or different online conferencing software. Or if you're wearing a Fitbit or wearable sensors, it's remarkable how much this has changed our lives, and has really fundamentally changed the way we live. And this the healthcare system has undergone very similar kinds of changes, whether it's through innovations in high-tech imaging or robotic surgery. Digital medical records, or again, sort of wearable sensors, health sensors. It really is a revolution in terms of how healthcare is being delivered. And this, the way these technologies are developed, there's sort of a traditional technology development process that's kind of a circular one, going from identifying a problem and coming up with a concept, prototyping it, possibly involving some intellectual property or even regulatory approval if necessary before you go on to marketing. And it's an iterative process that's time-consuming, and often there's a kind of a lack of understanding on the part of the technology side in terms of some of the nuances related to the healthcare industry. And likewise, often those in the healthcare side don't really are aware of or sort of appreciate some of the technology capabilities that are available as well. And so the purpose of the Mount Sinai Hackathon is sort of to disrupt this process at a very early stage in that iterative process, and try to interject interdisciplinary work by bringing together people that are coming from both of those angles, both the technology side and the healthcare side. As Scott mentioned, these healthcare events tend to be sort of tech-heavy, and I think it's kind of unique that this is being born out of a medical school, out of Mount Sinai, and so we really have a unique sort of composition of players here, and we've worked hard to make sure that there's a good diversity of technical expertise as well as clinical expertise. So please, when you registered, you were asked to provide some specialization information to put on your name tag. So when you're looking for people for your teams, I'll be explaining more about that. Look for the colors that don't match your own, so you can kind of mix and mingle as needed to develop these solutions. As I mentioned, this is building on kind of a revolution and a culture in terms of an approach to democratizing innovation and bringing it to people that don't necessarily have formal training in engineering and technology. Everybody's heard of, maker bots and sort of 3D printing capabilities that are being brought, that you can have at home, just like when people are first having home computers. This maker movement, or do-it-yourself, DIY, hackathons, these are all increasingly in the media and increasingly available to people, and we're really excited to be a part of this hackathon event. This is sort of like the central way that people are interacting in this space. So hackathon is kind of a combination of hacking and marathon. Right? Hacking is kind of the exploratory technology. It's really originally was on the side of software development and software innovation, and has expanded to include hardware hacking and just sort of rapid prototyping in general, and a combination of sort of that and a very intense, long-lasting event. So the marathon part, typically several days long. Teams are working together to develop solutions for a theme. This year, cancer. And promoting novel technology and encouraging cross-disciplinary learning. So this is really key. And a couple of images that we got, I like this one here. This guy's concentrating hard, and this guy's really sometimes it's a little bit frustrating and you're banging your head against the wall, but that's part of the event, right? You want to be really, if you're not, struggling with the problem, then maybe you're not thinking hard enough about it. And so we want to have that sort of energy. Unfortunately, hacking has negative connotations as well, and in the sense of computer crime and cyber attacks, and unfortunately they kind of overtook that term, and I just want to make it clear that it's not, obviously not what we're talking about here. Just keep that in mind. And so the original hackathons started about 2000, almost 20 years ago now, out of Sun Microsystems, where they were bringing groups of people together to innovate around, I don't know if anybody remembers the Palm Pilot, those of us with some gray hair. So that was one of the original personal devices. And then the first health hackathon was a collaboration between Health 2.0 and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in 2010. And since that time, it's really sort of grown exponentially. It's an exciting area, and we've benefited in particular from Mount Sinai from MIT Hacking Health, who's one of the major organizers of some of these events, and have provided sort of a manifesto actually about how to run and organize a hackathon, and we've benefited tremendously from interacting with them. This is just an example of a company that was started based on one of the MIT Hacking Medicine events in 2014. If you take a look at some of this, within a year, so the idea was a simple one, which was people have a hard time kind of keeping track of their meds, when to take them, at what time during the day, et cetera. And so the idea was to start a company that would interact with the with the pharmacies and prepackaged pills for patients. A simple idea. Their prototype was like a strip of paper where they tore off a couple of things with day 1, day 2, day 3, but it was enough to get the point across of what they wanted to do. Within a year, they had raised $4 million, and this is already a couple of years old. This has really been a huge success. And so, think about the fact that this is something, the more you put into it, the more you can get out, and it honestly could change your life depending on how the outcomes are of what you decide to do here. Let's see. So the mission of Mount Sinai's hackathon is to bring people together in the New York City area as well as California, and for a high energy and fun setting to explore solutions for management, monitoring, and treatment of urgent healthcare problems. Again, this year's event is focused on cancer. On a bigger scale, we're trying to cultivate an ecosystem here at Mount Sinai for fostering this multidisciplinary and high-tech team-based research, and of course to have a good time doing it. And sometimes the good time comes when you're most exhausted and you try to figure out problems. So this is really, there's no closing on this. You're basically here as long as you want to be this weekend, and just put as much energy in as you can muster. This idea of team science obviously is an important way forward, and I just want to point out that that Conduits, who's one of the sponsors internally here at Mount Sinai, this is really sort of their mission, is helping to develop such team-based research approaches. We all know that cancer is a huge problem. Cancer death every 4 seconds worldwide, a new diagnosis every 20 seconds, and hundreds of billions of dollars being spent on this. And unfortunately, as you can see on the right-hand side, the problem is only predicted to get worse. So when we talk about having an impact, cancer is potentially a hugely impactful. I'm not going to say a lot about that because we have 3 great speakers that are going to be each giving just a brief 10-minute talk to set the stage and help to inspire you in problems that you might want to work on over the weekend. In addition to the technology and technical skills that are required for a hackathon, we also need just creativity and inspiration. And so what you need to be successful is having a good idea or having some insight, willing to take a risk and work with, collaborate with somebody who maybe you haven't met before or aren't familiar with their background. The things you don't personally need are some of the more technical skills. We need some people with those, but you don't have to have all those skills yourself, and that's sort of our job as organizers to bring the right group of people together. And I'm hoping, based on what we saw on the registration list, we got a pretty nice mix this year, and trust that you'll be able to find the people that you need for your projects. And we're here to help serve that and facilitate that. So if you're having trouble finding somebody for, with a specific technical background that you need for your team, let us know as well, because we can help kind of bring teams together. Maybe that there's actually opportunities for teams to merge, and if they're working on similar kinds of problems. I don't want to go through this in a lot of detail, but just bringing the point across that we've got participants from a range of backgrounds, but we've also got a series of about 30 mentors or consultants that are going to be circulating mostly on Saturday to help provide advice. They won't be team members, but they'll be there to help answer questions and mentor you both on the technical side, on the clinical side, on the business side, as well as providing technical expertise with some of the tools that will be used. We'll have some tables here from Persistent, from IBM, one of the other partners, and the American Society of Mechanical Engineers is going to have a table here. So there'll be some resources from Mount Sinai Innovation Partners, from the App Lab. I'm probably missing a couple, but the tables are all out front, and make use of those resources. You're not just restricted to using the people that are on your team. I want to quickly go through sort of the event flow, but maybe any questions before I do that? Are we getting, no? Okay, good. I don't want it to take too long here, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So today is key in terms of organizing things. You may or may not have already joined the Trello board and started thinking about projects. We hope some of you have, in fact. But hopefully some of you will also be inspired by some of the talks that you hear this afternoon as far as what problem you want to present. So we'll be, like I said, mentioning some, my mouse is here, we'll be talking about some related problems, then pitching solutions to those problems, and then team formation. And by 11 o'clock tonight, you should know what team you're going to be on for the weekend. And let us know, because we need to sort of register that. And then tomorrow is just working all day long, solution development, prototyping, brainstorming, getting to ready for your pitch on Sunday, and some final wrap-up on Sunday morning. We'll do some practice pitches for some of you who maybe haven't given a pitch talk before. You've got 3 minutes to give a talk on your presentation. This isn't a 15-minute science presentation. So it's important to understand the difference. We'll give you a little bit of information on that. There's also a lot of resources on the Hackathon website. We've provided some videos and things like that to help you self-educate in terms of how to give a pitch, some of the technologies that are available. Persistent has a video on there, and yeah, I think there's a few others I'm probably missing as well. And then finally, we'll have the final pitches on Sunday afternoon. This is the schedule. Like I mentioned, after I get done blabbing here, we'll have the next couple of speakers talking about the sort of defining the space in cancer healthcare. Then preliminary problem pitches. So when it's your turn to pitch, you're going to just say your name, say your number, so it'll give you sort of a number to, for other people to find you afterwards. A sentence about yourself, and explain the problem that you want to tackle in healthcare. Tell a story about it if you want to get people inspired. But you know, who's suffering from this problem, and why is it important? But you've got a minute to do this, okay? So this isn't talking about what kind of solution you want. This is the problem I see. You want to inspire people to try to come up with solutions, or at least start thinking about how the problem could be solved. We'll break for dinner, think about stuff, what you've heard, and then start thinking about what you might come up with as a solution. And again, for the second set of pitches, you've got 1 minute to come up and say that you've got an idea for an app or a device or some kind of a cloud-based solution here that you think could address one of the problems that you heard. And that's really sort of when mixing the soup starts, and everybody will break out afterwards and start with the team formation, brainstorming. We've got food outside, some Red Bull and things like that help to get the neurons firing. And then let's see. And then by 11 o'clock tonight, so team formation, 3 to 9. I think a team of 1 isn't a team, and a team of 20 is kind of too big maybe. But something in that range, I think. We've got We're expecting about 100 people registered tonight, so if we had, teams of 5 or 6, then we're talking about maybe 20 teams. I think that's about what we are expecting to handle. If you decide that you want to change teams, something like that, don't just do that on your own. You have to let us know so that we can officially register you with so we know who's with what team when it comes to, going through the whole process and the prizes at the end and stuff like that. We don't want to get just sort of misunderstandings about who's with who and who's done what. Let's see. Saturday, like I said, you're going to be working all day. We've given you a food voucher, which can be used at the cafeteria here at, is it 1468? What's the address there? 1468 Madison. For those of you who aren't familiar with Sinai, we'll help you out. It's not hard to find, and everybody will be kind of looking together anyway. But it's basically just a flexible day. This place will be open all day, and just working on your problem. And what you want to try to come up with is, people might have different levels of development of their projects, but kind of what you need as a minimum is what they refer to sometimes as a minimum viable product. It's just like the minimum thing that you need to get the point across about what it is you think your solution is. If it's an app, maybe like a little storyboard, or you can do some app, like a simulator of what the app would actually work. It doesn't necessarily have to be a functioning thing, but it has to be able to communicate to the panel of judges what it is your solution consists of. If they're devices, again, we've got some resources out from the biodesign, Sinai Biodesign, which includes a prototyping center, and so we've got some resources there for you to actually build stuff if you want to. I think one of the guys said they were going to try to bring in one of the 3D printers, so if you need that kind of resource, we'll provide as much as we can for that. But it also can be something simple like a little paper thing that shows you how the device is going to work, or shows the judges how it's going to work. And then finally on Sunday, you'll be doing the practice pitches in the morning and then giving your final pitches starting at 3 o'clock. We've got a terrific panel of judges that span both industry and academia and clinical medicine, patient stakeholders as well. It's a really diverse group to evaluate the products, to evaluate the solutions, sorry. And what you want to focus on, really, you've got 3 minutes, right? So it's not a lot of time. You want to give a very brief and concise overview of what the problem is that you're working on. How important is this? Is this a significant problem that's going to help a lot of people, or is it kind of a niche thing? It's not that niche is bad, but we want it part of the judging criteria. If it's a great solution for a few people, that can be a winning, thing as well. But if it has bigger impact, then obviously there's more commercial potential. There's excitement around and value around that as well. How does your idea solve the problem? So that's where, if you happen to have some sort of a prototype that you can demonstrate, great. But coordinate that, right? Work with your team members and stuff so that you're not like plugging things in during your 3 minutes, because when the 3 minutes are over, we start clapping you off the stage and that's it. You might have your thing like not put together yet. So practice that, have it ready to go when you're on the stage. If you've got 10 people in your group, maybe you only want 2 or 3 of them actually up giving the presentation. Not everybody has to be there, because that can be tough to coordinate as well. And why is this such a special solution? What's different from the existing sort of state of the art? This can be pretty competitive, and there may be others that are working on a similar problem. So how is your solution different? So 3 minutes, 2 minutes Q&A. So some of you also may have come in already starting problems. That's perfectly fine. Just make it clear what you came in with and what you were working on during the course of this weekend. We actually encourage people to try and start working on problems before they got here, and so it's not counted against you or anything if you've come in with more or come in with less. But we just kind of want to have a fair assessment of what people did over the course of the weekend. And then what we're looking for, instead of sort of a first, second, and third place, we're going to have 3 finalists, all of the same level, $2,500 cash prize each. And we're also going to have one open wildcard slot. So if you don't happen to be one of the top 3 teams, we encourage you to still continue working on your solution after the event is over, and you can compete for a position on this Shark Tank event that's going to be happening in February, where you'll get to pitch to a bunch of investors and get a sort of feedback on what, you know, the real commercial potential of your solution, and just, you know, have a little more time to work on it. And, you know, in 2 days, there's only so much you can do. But in a couple of months, you actually could come up with a business plan and, you know, a real functional prototype. And there's, you know, the judging criteria. This also is on the website. There's some concept criteria. There's some, sorry, I can't read it. Execution criteria. I can't read it from this angle, and it's on the website, so I'm not going to waste your time with that, but you should know what we're evaluating you on. Okay, so like I said, this is the second time we've done it. I'm going to take like 3 minutes here to quickly run through some pictures and stuff to kind of convey what the event was like from last year. We had an interesting group of people. It was really biology and clinical heavy last year, so we're really excited that we got participation from RPI, Harvey Mudd, City College, Stony Brook. We've got a number of great engineering schools that have participated with us, and just even from within Mount Sinai, people that have technical backgrounds. So seek those people out. Like I said, we set the stage with some talks today. Pitch your problems, and then eat a little bit, think a little bit, and pitch your solutions, and then get the teams formed. And Peter will be facilitating that process as well, with getting the teams all formed online, so we can figure out who we have by 11 o'clock tonight. Register your teams. Tomorrow is working all day. We'll provide some snacks and things to keep you going, and you can see that, you know, people were having a good time last year, actually building stuff. And just brainstorming together. It's really a pretty exciting and high energy kind of experience. You can see some wearable sensors here, some a brain monitor on the right hand side there. Just some of the things are just kind of sketches. You know, you can see post-its, just sort of organizing thoughts. Just try to keep the creative juices flowing. And then Sunday, doing the problem pitches with some practice judges, finalizing things and giving your final presentation up here. Again, you've got 3 minutes to convey what you want to present, and you've got the final judges there. Sorry, the final winners. We'll need your contact information, you know, for the winners to follow up with you. So we'll be just make sure that you've given us your contact information, and again, the 3 finalists plus the one wild card for the Shark Tank event. And we're also asking the 3 finalists to present on Sinai Innovations on Tuesday. There's an 11:30 to 12 o'clock slot, where you know, it's a pretty big audience. There's a big online following, as well as the people that are in Stern Auditorium, a big auditorium here at Sinai, and so we want to be able to highlight this event and highlight what some of you have accomplished. And so we're asking you to come and give a 5-minute version, 5-minute presentation of what you did over the weekend. Just to give kind of a spectrum of this, we had 14 teams last year. And what you can see, it had a variety of different devices and apps and different kinds of solutions for the theme of pain and fatigue was the theme last year. And I guess the thing to take away from this maybe is highlighted in blue were the 3 top teams. And they all had, you know, a minimum of 4, you know, up to 9 people. So you want to have more than just a couple of people on your group, just to have that diversity and that cross-pollination. And also both technical as well as clinical people, not just one or the other. And so keep that in mind as you're forming your teams here. That's what's going to increase the likelihood of success in the end. And we'd like to follow up with you when you're done as well. Again, whether it's not just the top 3 teams, but all of you guys. We have resources that are willing to and eager to work with you. Again, our primary sponsor, Persistent, has graciously helped us with some of the software availability. We've also partnered with App Lab, Sinai Biodesign, ASME, IBM. So there's really a lot of, again, trying to build this ecosystem and a lot of support to keep things going for you. And finally, competing for this Shark Tank event in February. Things go on past the hackathon. We've had from last year people going on to other hackathon events and doing well there, submitting scientific abstracts based on some of the stuff that was done. So this really can have a big impact. Again, the more you put into it, the more you can expect to get out. So I went over my time already, so I'm going to kind of skip ahead with these quotes from last year. But on the bottom there, please, on social media, let people know how things are going, and I guess that's about it. Keep any questions or input, enthusiasm, we're looking for. So thanks very much. I don't know, any questions before we move on? I might have missed something. Nope. Okay.